Hey y'all, hope everybody's having a great day. My name is Josh, and today I'm going to explain a little bit about getting your Unity project into version control using GitHub. You're going to need a free GitHub account, and if you're familiar with the command line, you can certainly use that. If not, I definitely suggest to grab GitHub Desktop. It's what we're going to be using today, and it should make your life a little bit easier if you're only familiar with a user interface. So once you're set up with a GitHub account, you can either create it as an individual or as an organization, and then you're going to get access to the repo creation capabilities. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is to click on repos and click and create new repository. And we'll enter a name for it. You can't have spaces. And give it a simple description. Now you can either have it public to where the general public can grab your code, or you can have it private if you just want to share and to choose who you're going to be giving that access to. It's generally a good idea to keep it private if you're working on client projects or stuff, but if you're open sourcing something, you definitely want to have that as public. It's a good idea to add a README file. That way you can give people instructions as to how to use the code or any special instructions on what they're going to need to do. License generally isn't important unless you are commercializing or open sourcing something specifically. A good general one to use is the 3.0 open source license, the GPL license, and it will cover pretty much most things. So from here, we'll just create a repository. Then as you can see, it kind of loads in your basic stuff, your license automatically, and this is sort of your README file where you can explain more about what the project's about. So from here, you can simply open up GitHub Desktop. And from here, depending on if you've already set up something, it may be on that one, but you're going to want to click on Clone Repository, and that's going to go and grab the repository that you just set up. Now you're probably going to have to always refresh this if there's any changes to creating your repository. So if you don't find it in there, just go ahead and click refresh, and it shouldn't take too long to pop up in your search here. And I actually probably should have just searched for it. So here's the basic Unity scene that we just added, and you want to set a local path, and this is where your Unity project is going to reside on your computer. It's important to make sure that you have the whole project in there in case there's other settings that need to be shared between different users that are going to be using it. So we're going to just clone this repository into what's called the local workspace. And now you'll see your repository up here. And this kind of gives you a quick glance at any changes that are being made on your local. So as you'll see in just a second, when we put a Unity project in here, we're going to see a lot of this stuff kind of populate here. This is just a basic video. There's definitely a lot more advanced features to using Git, such as merging code together and whatnot. This is just kind of a basic video to get you started with the setup. So I am going to put a basic Unity project from Spatial using their starter kit into this folder that we created. And it's already set up for Git just by cloning the local repository. You definitely want to make sure that you do install Git on your local machine. There's a Git for Windows and Mac, of course. A lot of that's for using the command line as mentioned, but you should be able to handle most things using GitHub Desktop. So we're just copying over the project here. And it is, even just a basic project is 1.5 gigs, so it'll take just a second. One of the things that you do want to keep in mind if you're using a Unity project, most of the file structure should be just fine for what you're doing. Obviously the main area that you and your team will be working in is the assets, but you will want to have the entire GitHub project copied over. And we are back. As mentioned, when you copy the project file over to your local workspace, you are going to see those begin to show up because these are under version control. And it's telling you all of these are added by the little green plus mark here. These are new files. If something changed, everything has its own icon, and you'll see that in this window here. When you commit the first code to GitHub, you want to at least let people know this is the initial commit. Every time that you commit, it's important to list out the changes that you're making so that the next person that views it will sort of understand what changes are in that latest push. So in here, we're just going to write initial commit, if I could spell. And you don't really have to put a description, but a lot of times I'll just copy this right down into here. And at this point, we're just going to go ahead and commit to main. This is the main branch. If people are working on other features, it's sometimes a good idea to create another branch off the main branch and work in that to where there isn't any file conflicts or whatnot. The Unity itself can occasionally give you some conflicts if you're both or several people are working in the same scene. So a lot of times it's still a good idea to prefab out any work that you're doing just in case there is a conflict, and then you can just bring those prefabs right back into the scene. So what we'll do here is we'll just go ahead and commit it to main. And this may take a while depending on how big your files are and how good your internet connection is. So we'll probably fast forward through this part. Okay, now we have all of our files committed to GitHub here, and what happens is you get a little notification here that you have committed and it's waiting to be pushed to GitHub. So at this time we'll go ahead and just push the origin. And this may take a while as well. It appears as though we've got everything uploaded. So at this point in time, we can go ahead and switch back over to GitHub, and we should be able to see our changes. And we are back at GitHub. And as you can see, all of our changes are here. Now I've slimmed down this project a little bit because it had a lot of stuff that we really didn't need. A lot of times what you can also do if you've got a big project is to simply share your assets folder. It's what a lot of people do to kind of cut down on space because you do have some upload restrictions unless you're using large file structure available with GitHub, which does cost, if I'm not mistaken. So you'll want to kind of slim it down as much as you can. As you can see, if you have any overwrites, those will automatically show here. So we just pushed up part of the Unity SDK template from Spatial, and at that point in time, everybody should be able to go down and either grab just the assets folder or specific assets. But what they're going to want to do is sync with the entire project. So it just kind of depends on how you set up the project initially, and then you'll be able to share your code between team members. So like I said, it's just a basic tutorial to get you started. If there are specific things that you're needing to do, of course, like merging, dealing with conflicts and stuff like that, there's really a lot you can get into, and hopefully we can put together some additional videos pretty quickly on certain use cases and fundamental things that you might run into with working with Unity in GitHub. So I hope that was helpful, and thanks for viewing.